like the business was always the pushing force for actually taking the lead and providing the government with the information that we need to bring to the world about the Ukrainian successes, Ukrainian success stories, Ukrainian actually inventions, Ukrainian R&D. So I think that our major task in order to become and to be on the edge of any global process, we need to talk more globally about our successes, about our technological and our, I would say, science history. Because if we talk to the people that the first actually processing machine has been invented in Ukraine, if we tell people that the first studies in nanotechnology has been done in Ukraine, it brings to them understanding that we have a legacy, scientific legacy, ICT legacy, that we have R&D legacy. So I think that our major task for this year and the next year is to bring more information to the world of what's going on in the country and what we have to offer to the technological singularity, to any other global processes. Because if we will be sitting back home and telling nothing, and we'll think that somebody would come and look at us and say, wow, how great you are. We are in a global competition and we need to spread the message. And what is most important, this message actually we need to have rather one voice policy, because the more repetitions of the single message you have all over the world, the more impact you will have on the global in the global world.
I agree, but it's not either or. It's both the invention and communication of invention, I would say.
Yes, that's true. But what we can do now in terms of invention, we already have them now. Are we talking about them globally? Not so. Yeah, we do, but not in a single world.
I completely agree with Natalia. Yes, IT, this is global industry. Yes, we need to be more ambitious, completely. But whether we're talking globally, non-stop. For example, SoftServe. We have 7 offices in the United States. Around 50 people working for SoftServe in the United States. Each day, non-stop, they're talking only about how to provide our services on the United States market. The same about Western Europe. Yes, for SoftServe, yeah. Including industry. No, it's SoftServe non-stop. It's no way to talk from here to United States from here. And no way just to talk about global interests is sometimes visiting the United States. You need to be here. The same, we have office in London, we have 2 offices in Germany, in Scandinavia, whatever. IT is really global interest as of today, and we are working globally. But truly speaking, when we're talking about our customers, we're starting to talk about technologies, about values that we're providing, and at the last we're talking how we're providing and that we are providing these values from Ukraine. It's the truth is, first of all, value to our clients. We're talking with clients about clients.
Well, it's natural. Diane, you wanted to introduce?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this is a good IT idea. I've seen Natalia give her presentation promoting the IT industry recently in Toronto. You should make a hologram of her and ship it all over the world. I mean,
that's an idea for communicating.
There you go. It is a very compelling message. She gives it very well, and all the men were just, they were either falling in love with her or they were falling in love with the Ukrainian IT industry. I don't know which it was. But the message is compelling, and she's absolutely right. You need a marketer like her to go out all over the place. But I do want to defend the idea that, the IT outsource industry is the beginning. You cannot do research and development that makes any sense unless you've established what you've established in the IT outsource, because the outsource industry has learned about Western ways of doing business, whether it's the legals or the sectors, and they've designed, services and things for software for the Western companies and Asian companies, if they have Asian clients. You have to learn how they operate first before you can design and understand the markets into which you want to do productizations. And so that's pivotal. And then it does attract, of course, the clients start to talk about the great services that Ukrainians can provide. There is no question about it that in terms of population, there's more people in this country, I would guess, that have taken hard sciences and mathematics, because your educational system has been very good at teaching that more than most countries. And so that's why you have this wonderful talent to do this. But you cannot, to use a metaphor of music, you have to learn how to do the scales on the piano before you can do jazz. And the jazz is the products and making things like, and let's not forget, one of the most sophisticated products developed in this country, and this is the technological singularity type thing, natural language processing, artificial intelligence, is Grammarly. Grammarly's brilliant. Grammarly's worth billions now. And it was developed mostly in Ukraine by Ukrainians, with the partnership, the joint venture of the Silicon Valley people. So you have to do the basics, you have to learn what's going on. That's the IT outsource start, and then you'll do jazz. And you'll do very well, and you already are.
Okay, this is a good place to jump to Volodya and ask you, what else could be the driver of IT industry? We have already heard about education, we have already heard about doing the basics, learning the skills. Is there anything else that we can do and are doing that promotes the development of the IT sector and specifically innovation in the IT sector?
Very good morning to all of you. I'm still in music, as the music was mentioned several times, and I was thinking what is the right word in which is my mind reflection to my statement. I am not IT person, and I am a human after all. And don't put your blame on me, you know.
That way. You have another 100 years.
And even more, I am a banker after all, right? So please accept my comments, because this will be different wording, and they can't support what was discussed, especially with artificial intelligence, which I like very much to listen, and don't like very much to comment, right?
We like any type of intelligence, so please.
Yes. So this is what we're discussing now. What I can contribute to this discussion is to make some comments on market developments. I'm an operational banker. My business is to provide services and to develop added values to our customers. And customers are different now, and that we should accept in the market. We like it or not we like, but clients' experience, we call it, or customers' experience is different. And some industries which as high risky area as banking is, for example, flying by aircraft, right? So this is air companies, they offer IT services, starting from tickets, confirmations. People travel, millions of them, and they are in digital already. And how artificial intelligence is there, I can't measure. But that risk is taken, and there's a massive, and there's a client's experience. Clients now have experience with that. And they expect from banks, and there are a number of services should be provided at the same level. And banks don't yet.
That's very interesting. Why is that?
Just to make some numbers, to provide you with some numbers. So there is a research done by Deloitte in 2016, comparison of Ukrainian banks with Central Eastern European banks. So with the 100 points, Czech and Slovaks got, top 5 banks got 65, 75. Romanians and Hungary 60, 70, and the Ukrainians from 25 to 55. So the best in class is 55, is the bottom line of Czech and Slovak. So we are on distance. And that's where we are. The question why it's happening could take more time than a few minutes, but that's a reality. So with all my respect to IT industry, especially to IT people, which we have in Ukraine, that the implementation is very segmented and very selective. And it comes from issue which names a strategy, what picture you would like to have, and we shortly discussed with Alexei, do we have an IT strategy, in which way, because it requires a lot of money to invest to this or that technology. And that's each individual bank take a risk, invest in, but in the last 10 years there mostly was exit strategy for many banks, and this was not time to make a final big investment to choose this or that.
So what you're saying basically is that banking is not a driver in the IT industry.
become drivers of IT industry, be under the pressure of customers' experience. And
But
that
customers-
works
what-
much stronger than even regulation.
But customers migrate elsewhere if banks don't offer good IT solutions. You know,
That's a very good topic. So fintechs were named as the challengers to banks, and I'd like to make a few
Exactly.
comments on that. So there are few outlooks on that. So banks being last year under the pressure of customers' experience, many of them chosen IT or digital strategy, we call it, digital strategy. Majority of big banks defined their future to be with digital, to go digital, to be digital as fast as possible, and that's confirmed, announced in many countries, including Ukraine. Does it mean that the bank will keep all services? Probably not. So I would name first so-called IT giants, right? So big companies that are IT, are well-developed brand, and confront with a high level of confidence. Okay, they will take many businesses from banks, not everything, but payments, and close to payments, very probably will move there.
have
That's about
already
payments.
done.
That's about payments.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about fintech, which mostly small and with a big number, there is an outlook which I share that they will provide segmented or fragmented services in cooperation with banks or these IT giants. And this is the future. In this configuration, there is not too many places for small banking institutions that don't have high-fly digital strategy, investments, and high brands to be accepted.
If I was a small bank, I'd be worried now.
There's a good future for them in a segmented markets, but not in digital, not in this what we discuss now.
Alexei, you wanted to jump in. There's a mic here.
You know, we have a big bad habit in Verkhovna Rada. If somebody mentioning you, you have a possibility to reply. So, returning back to the question of the IT strategy for Ukraine, I can think that we have here to still to divide things, because from the viewpoint of outsourcing R&D and products, we are on the maybe 6-7 place in the world. But from the viewpoint of using of IT inside of the country, I think we are on the first place in the world of non-using internal IT people inside of the country. So if we even look to the India as an example of the first place outsourcing company, they're still doing 10 to 20% inside of the country. We are doing mostly zero. I think here is a big distance. So we, from one side, is on the top of the edge, yes, thinking about artificial intelligence and so on and so off. From the other side, we have the scandals with the availability, what we with Volodya talking, 17 different systems for the keys. We have absolutely different approaches, and the scandals which we have in IT, like in our NAZK National Agency. So this is, which is bring us to the bottom, and from the viewpoint of especially of advertising, of bringing the industry as a whole, bringing the country to be proud of the country, to see that we're using our inside and IT inside, and it will be the best advertising, not the former one like it was 50 years ago, but currently that we can say, hey guys, we built the same IT hub like Estonia. And I think this will be the best advertising, but we still don't using our IT very powerful companies inside of the country. I think it's one of the problems which we have to correct.
Actually, I will respond to this one as a client of the IT industry, or a potential client. I am the CEO of Hromadske TV, which is a multimedia organization with huge challenges relating to IT. We need very, very complex and very, very modern IT solutions. And we do have some money for it, but we literally cannot afford a lot of the things that are on the market and a lot of the price tags that that are rolled out for us. Because the IT industry in Ukraine is used to earning in hard currency, competing on the world market, and basically, I cannot afford to, a person who would code on the inside of my team. I cannot afford an outsourcing company that would create a complex solution that I need, because I simply don't have the money. I am not, I'm not PayPal, I'm not Google. I cannot pay the same kind of money. So that's one of the.
I have an answer to your question, because returning back to my favorite example with Nazika, I don't know what will be the right translation to this acronym.
National Anti-Corruption.
Anti-corruption. They spent only inside of IT system only $97,000. I think this small spending, it was one of the key problems why it's still not working. Because when you wanted to have something cheap, you're receiving something stupid. So this is the key problem. So if we're thinking about that we are living in the world market, so we have to expect that the prices here in Ukraine will be also world, and no other way. Sorry.
Thanks. That cheered me up. Diane.
Yeah, this is going to be controversial. I'm used to doing that sort of thing, and to your point, which is excellent, I have a friend in IT in Kyiv, and he said, we do not do government contracts and we do not deal with certain business organizations because of the problem of corruption. And that's when the problems start. If I work for a government, I start to have people come to me and ask for extra money or to hire their children. And if I have a dispute with them, there is no courts that will protect me contractually. So if you want to know why the IT industry isn't very involved in Ukraine companies and in government agencies to improve and help them progress in efficiency in IT ways, it is because of the lack of reforms.
Taras, I would like to pass the microphone to you and to go back to the questions of drivers behind IT industry. So we've heard a little bit about hindrances and what pulls them back, but what are the drivers? What are the main drivers apart from the global market? Or maybe go into more specific details about Ukrainian IT.
If to talk about drivers to develop IT industry in Ukraine, this is global trends. We see the needs amount of software development contracts is growing year over year. We see prediction, and this is a great opportunity for Ukraine to be active player on global market. So if you take a look on strategy of Ukraine, so for sure we can talk about a couple pieces. First, when we're talking with government, we need to work together in educational direction. I always tell you that Ukraine has more talents as we need. We need just to invest in them, starting from universities and later on invest in them working in the companies. And this is first is talent, and second is to create environment for companies without boundaries, with Western standards of doing business, for these talents to live and work in Ukraine. When we're talking about what strategies our businesses should select, it's each business building own strategy based on direction, on strengths, etc. So, but on high level, we are part of global economy. So Ukrainian companies to be successful, they should first of all to find target on global map, not on Ukrainian map. We should not create Ukrainian Windows, Ukrainian Explorer, or Ukrainian some finance management system, ERP systems. These products are already created. We should target on new emerging technologies where we see great opportunities, right? For example, if, let's say, Socer started to provide our services to Deutsche Bank, what we can provide to Deutsche Bank? Yes, we can provide data analysis, big data services, whatever. Because this is new wave of technologies that just emerged during recent years, and currently all financial institutions actively they're seeking how to get some business values from these technologies. And only working this artificial intelligence, big data, vision system, image recognition is this area where we can find many niches based on our great talents.
Okay, but what, did you want to talk about the environment?
No, about drivers.
Drivers, yeah.
So few comments on drivers. I guess it's important to clarify what I mentioned before. So clients experience what we call with a visa-free, with a cross-border business which is growing in Ukraine. That's okay. I have experienced this. Okay.
I can see you're very experienced, but
Yeah.
it'll be easy.
So we see how demand and request are growing. There's no chances for, I would talk about banking industry, but not only, but banking for sure, to avoid these expectations. So banks will deliver and survive, or banks will not deliver and leave the market. There's no chances to be in the middle, and this pressure is current. This is not in the future, 3-5 years. This is now. Issue number 2, which plays a role, is regulation. So I would say that this our market is open, and banking industry open, and IT is global. Right? So requirements now is such. So in risk management, in making transactions, MasterCard, Visa, or internet banking, mobile, I would name now the second payment directive of EU that requires special rules for, let me say, middlemen or special payment companies that intermediate between clients and banks. So it doesn't matter where is your account, in which country, payments will be arranged by special purpose institutes. So you will survive if you will invest in IT technology and will be accepted by other banks, other countries, or you will leave the market. So regulation play a huge role to make IT investments or IT technology being invested now. So based on the experience of Raiffeisen Group, we know this now in high priority to be adequate, because that comes in 2018, in 6 months. We don't discuss this too much in Ukraine, but to big surprise to many of operators in Ukraine, it comes, now. So who will be ready will work. Who will not be ready will be able only to serve other segments, but not payments. So these two drivers makes us impossible to avoid to participate in the game, leading the process, and banks, those who stay, will do this. So I have a very optimistic outlook on these circumstances.
So basically what you're saying is that the government has a huge driving role in innovation. Is the Ukrainian government ready for it?
I can't make assessment, and I'm not here to make assessment of the government. But I know many people in the government and in the central bank of high quality experience and driving reforms. And I would disagree that there are no reforms or lack of reforms. My personal assessment is there are a number of steps done already, but the effect we will see not immediate. This is my comment.
Natalia, is the government ready? Do we have a strategy for driving the IT sector?
Does the IT sector provide us with their needs, what they need the government to do for them to develop? It's not a one-way road. I mean, if the government would come and say, okay, we know how to develop IT industry. This should be a joint ambition of both the industry and the government. In our export strategy, we have a special chapter related to developing of the ICT sector, of ICT export. This chapter has been developed together with the participation of the ICT business. So we have a vision what we need to do in order to promote ICT business abroad. But I have another question. Again, being positively provocative, is in Ukraine we have a tradition actually to whine and not to praise successes, especially not to praise successes of our competitors or of other people in the industry. How many of you praise the successes of your competitors publicly?
Always.
Raising hands?
Always. Yes.
Oh, we are in the minority.
Yeah.
Always saying good words about SoftServe as the main competitor and praise, and this is just like not a problem because I think.
Do you have a purpose
Yes, of course.
Yeah, they're
Yes,
both
of
on the
course.
panel,
Because
right?
because I think that the competition is also the driver. I think that the competition is one of the main driver. It was one of the stupid question about the IT cluster in Lviv from the guys who's asking us why you were so stupid that you're raising the competition in your city. And my answer, we are very smart, that we're raising the competition and we were able to compete on the world level. I think this is the main answer. So we are not afraid to be open to the world. We are already here and we are already doing very competitive things to the world. And I think this is just like both. So we are mostly friends and mostly competitors. That's all. This is what is making the life very interesting.
Yeah. My provocation word, one more provocation, actually. I'm not telling it from the scratch because I know those people in the industry for quite some time. The other question, how much of your own time are you ready to invest, not to promote SoftServe, not to promote your companies, but to promote Ukraine at the destination as the next high-tech hub of Europe?
So
Your
I get it.
personal time,
I
not,
get it.
and the time of your
The
companies.
strategy, the government strategy is to make you guys work. Are you
No,
ready?
no. The government task is to unite all of us, not against something, but to unite all of us for something. Because again, coming back to our mentality, we are ready to unite against something. Against, like Yanukovych regime, against, some bad things. But if we are talking about uniting for something and fighting and working for something, my question is how much your personal time and your company time are you ready to invest? That's going to be a commitment from your side in promoting Ukraine abroad.
What you say?
One comment, because there could be different opinion on how to protect Ukraine globally, as was mentioned before. But there could be different opinion on Ukrainian mentality, and I would disagree with the picture that Ukrainians are always fighting to each other. This is not very correct.
Aren't you
In the
finding
market,
out?
for example, where I am, for many, many, many years, there's a very supportive culture to develop the market together, with some losses and some profits, but that's not a culture where we fight to each other. That's not correct. Frankly speaking, I would disagree with that.
So Taras, is the industry ready to promote Ukraine? And how much time are you personally willing to commit?
Industry constantly supporting Ukraine. If we talk about my personal time, I senator of Ukraine Catholic University, and we opened together with cluster many computer programs, two bachelor programs in university, magister program. We opened, SoftServe is one of the founder business school with Catholic University. Recently we opened couple new bachelor program in Lviv Polytechnic, currently working closely with Ivan Franko University. SoftServe was platinum sponsor in Toronto a month ago. Platinum sponsor in Toronto a month ago. Ukrainian events. SoftServe paid good money to be platinum sponsor. I visited personally Toronto a year ago together with Natalia. I plan to go to London, still plan, with Natalia, to London to promote Ukrainian industry. It's good numbers, guys.
Okay, good. Now let's go back to what we are promoting. I mean, let's go back to the issue that we're supposed to talk about. Is Ukraine on the verge of technological singularity? What are we doing that is of cutting edge, that is interesting globally, that can really showcase Ukraine as a great IT driven country?
I have one only comment.
Can I ask you for a second? I will open the floor to comments and questions after this. And I would like to ask the audience that if you have any experience in IT, if you are contributing towards bringing forward technological singularity, whether you like it or not, please talk about it and also ask questions to the panelists if you like. Yaroslav hopefully will be here with a microphone in a minute. So, Taras.
One comment. Currently we are talking about developing Ukraine industry by Ukrainians. And at the same time talking that IT industry is global. Right? So for some reason, we're not expecting people from all over the world come to Ukraine to do IT business. But Silicon Valley, bringing all people over the world to come to Silicon Valley to do the business. And why we are not discussing of this? And this is first of all government task. Let us consider Estonia. Currently we're talking about boom product companies in Estonia. And when I started to talk about Estonia, like reason for success, I realized that there are many non-Estonian companies started their startup in Estonia due to great environment, right legislation to start startup in Estonia, whatever. People coming to Estonia to do IT business. Why we cannot do this in Ukraine? Currently we create an environment when new product companies founded in Ukraine and moving out of Ukraine. Can we create vice versa? As well, provocative question is the way as Natalia likes to do.
Thank you. Natalia, would you like to say something?
We have seen those that it's like in Rada, you know, when somebody mentioned you.
We've come across the same problem.
Yeah.
We cannot bring foreigners to work in Ukraine. When we do, we spend half a year trying to get their work permits, etc., etc. So the environment.
Yeah, but the situation in work permits actually. Yeah, but the situation with work permits, it's actually relaxed because they adopted the law that is relaxing it. But the major question that I would have here, you know, like it's good to be the trade representative of Ukraine responsible for exports to talk about all the problems that the ICT industry has. But in any case, you know, like answering to your question, like help us, I mean to help you, let's sit down and talk what Alexei said about the strategy, how the industry is going to develop. Because our vision is that Ukraine should be positioned and we need to spend all our efforts to make it the high-tech hub, not the actually ICT outsourcing, because all of us want to have more value added in the country and more foreign currency coming in. So in order to make Ukraine the high-tech hub of Europe, we just need to sit down and understand what are the urgent steps we need to take, what are the second priority steps, and what the steps that actually needs investment, both from the government and private sector. Because you know, what we see, we are already leaders globally in ICT. It has been recognized all over the world. We have an R&D legacy, you know, which takes for quite some time. Long history. We have the brilliant people living here, some of which are moving, unfortunately, so we just need to stop that. We have already started education reform, which we also need to contribute. And also we are ready to promote the current successes abroad. So we just need to divide this on the action plan and to see what are the most important priority actions, you know, like to happen. And that's it. And therefore, I believe that the position of the IT associations and the association that are uniting the IT business, high-tech business, startups is very important. Because if they won't tell the government, you know, like that's a priority, that's what we need. You know, the government would do what we think is necessary and what we think important.
I hope this conference becomes the one that brings together the government and the industry to create a single plan,
just to
not just to travel together. But
to open a secret, I mean, we are very closely working with all those people and with the IT association. So it's just like we are provoking each other because like all of us want more cooperation, I think.
Good, so do we. Except I think the final goal should not be to get more currency into the country, but to make a technological leap in Ukraine and promote it globally as a.
Can I have one small remark where I fully disagree with Natalia? Very small remark. Just disagree that we have to stop people going out. If we have the global market, and I think we have here in IT. My approximation is that we have only near maybe 3-4% of the people going outside of Ukraine. And I think it's more positive than negative because those people with the international experience, sooner or later, best of them will return back. That's why I'm more here for liberalization of the market. It's not connected to the other industries, to the chemistry, to the production and so on, where we have a very bad situation. But in IT, I think we have to do opposite. We have to promote people to receive education, to work in the R&D centers outside in the world, and to return back. I think it's more better strategy than to stop something.
I have
Okay.
one comment.
Okay. Anton first, then you speak.
Okay, I'm Anton Bishop from Western NAS Enterprise Fund, and I'd like to bring back the conversation back to customer experience. So we identified that the domestic market may not be able to afford all of the technological purchases, but let's say in the banking industry, the banks should be able to make some capex and invest in improving the customer experience. And in this way, they'll really have a competitive advantage on the market. As you said, we're ranking at top 75 points. So why isn't this happening? Why aren't the investments being made if it's such an evident point that it'll improve the market, the company?